The bridge of the U.S. horizon was quiet except for the soft beeping of instruments. Captain Alan Wright looked at the small screen on his command chair. The numbers didn't make sense. 1 minute everything was normal. The next minute all readings went crazy. "Susan, check these sensor readings again," he said to his science officer. Susan Bell frowned at her console. "Already did, sir. 3 times. Something is out there. Something big." The horizon was at the edge of the Kuiper Belt, farther from Earth than any human ship had traveled before. Their mission was simple: map the outer regions and look for resources. No one expected to find anything strange. "Whatever it is, it's getting closer," said Jack Martinez, the pilot. His hands moved quickly over the controls. "And it's moving fast. Too fast." Captain Wright stood up. He was a tall man with 20 years of spaceflight experience. He had seen meteor showers, solar flares, and even a supernova once. But nothing like this. "All hands, yellow alert," he said into the ship-wide communication system. "Prepare for possible emergency maneuvers." The object on their sensors grew larger. It wasn't a comet or asteroid. It had a strange shape that kept changing, like it couldn't decide what to be. "Sir, it's emitting some kind of energy field," Susan said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes showed fear. "It's interfering with our systems." The lights on the bridge flickered. The main view screen filled with static. "Communications, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them." Wright's order was cut short when the ship suddenly shook violently. "We're being pulled toward it," Jack shouted. His fingers flew across the controls, but nothing responded. Engines not responding. The mysterious object glowed with a blue-green light. The light grew brighter until it filled the view screen completely. "All hands, red alert. Brace for impact." Wright grabbed the edge of his chair as the ship shook again, harder this time. That was 5 years ago. The last transmission from the U.S. horizon reached Earth 3 days later, garbled and incomplete. Search teams found nothing. Not even debris. The ship and its 157 crew members had vanished without a trace. At first, the news was everywhere. Mystery in space. U.S. horizon missing. People wanted answers. The families of the crew demanded them. But as weeks turned into months, the story faded from public view. The official report said it was equipment failure, something about the ship's new experimental drive system going wrong. But people who worked at the space agency whispered other things. They said the horizon was testing secret technology. They said the mission wasn't just about mapping the Kuiper Belt. Mary Wright stopped believing the official story after the first year. She knew her husband was the best captain in the fleet. No equipment failure would have taken down his ship without some warning. She kept all the news reports, all the official statements. She marked the contradictions, the things that didn't add up. She wasn't alone. Other families formed a group. They met regularly, shared information, and kept pushing for the truth. But doors kept closing in their faces. By the 3rd year, even their group started to accept that they might never know what happened. Some moved away. Some tried to forget. Some, like Mary, couldn't. On the 5th anniversary of the disappearance, the space agency held a small ceremony. They unveiled a plaque with the names of the lost crew, heroes of space exploration. The speaker called them. Mary didn't attend. She sat at home, looking at old photos of Alan. That night, as she finally fell asleep, dozens of monitoring stations across Earth and the moon picked up the first signal. It was weak and strange, but the signature was unmistakable. The U.S. horizon was calling home. Melissa Grant stared at her monitor and frowned. The signal appeared again, exactly at the same time as yesterday. She adjusted her headphones and increased the volume. "You're still here." Frank Miller walked into the communications room of Lunar Base 7. As base commander, he did his final rounds every night before sleep cycle. Shift ended 2 hours ago. Melissa didn't look up. "I need to check something." "Sir." The signal pulsed on her screen, following a pattern she recognized. 3 short bursts, 2 long ones, then a pause before repeating. An old emergency code. "It's back," she said, pointing at the screen. "The signal I reported yesterday." Commander Miller leaned over her shoulder. His face showed doubt. "Probably just background radiation or equipment feedback. We get ghost signals all the time out here." "This isn't a ghost signal," Melissa typed quickly, isolating the frequency. "Look at the signature pattern. It matches the U.S. Horizon's distress beacon." Miller's expression changed. The Horizon was a sore subject for everyone in the space program, a failure no one liked to talk about. And Melissa had more reason than most to keep bringing it up. Her brother Paul had been the Horizon's communications officer. "The Horizon has been gone for 5 years, Miller said gently. "I know it's hard, especially with the anniversary, but—" "I know what I'm looking at," Melissa interrupted. She rarely spoke to her commander this way, but she was certain. "The pattern is the same, but there's something different about it. It's like the signal is twisted somehow." Miller sighed. "File a report. I'll forward it to Earth Command. But don't get your hopes up." He patted her shoulder awkwardly. "Get some rest, Grant." After he left, Melissa copied the signal data to her personal device. She wouldn't just file a report. Reports got buried. She would analyze this herself. Back in her small living quarters, Melissa pulled out an old photo of her brother. Paul had her same red hair and freckles. He smiled at the camera, his arm around her shoulders. It was taken the day before he left on the Horizon mission. "I know you're trying to tell us something," she whispered to the photo. She worked through the night, breaking down the signal, comparing it to old Horizon communications. By morning, she was even more convinced. This wasn't just similar to the Horizon signal. It was the Horizon, but changed in ways she couldn't explain. Her personal device beeped with a message. It was from Carlos Diaz, an old Academy friend who now worked at the Mars Colony Communications Hub. "Hey Mel," his tired face appeared in the video. "Got your message. Weird thing is, we picked up something similar here. Exactly 2:17 Universal Time. Same pattern you described. Sent you the data." Melissa's heart raced as she compared the Mars signal to hers. They were identical, but that was impossible. Radio signals took minutes to travel between Earth and Mars. They couldn't arrive at exactly the same time unless... Her device beeped again. Another message, this time from Europa Station. Then one from Saturn Outpost. All reporting the same signal, all at exactly the same time. Melissa rushed back to the communications room. Miller was there, talking to Earth Command on the main screen. "Sir," she said, out of breath. "It's everywhere. The signal is being received at every outpost in the solar system, all at precisely the same moment." Miller's face paled as he looked at her data. "That's not possible. It is if whatever is sending it isn't bound by normal spacetime," Melissa said. "Sir, something is coming." As if answering her, all screens in the room suddenly went dark. Then they flickered back to life, showing the same image. A massive object emerging from the darkness of deep space. Its shape was familiar, the unmistakable outline of a human vessel. But it was changed, covered in strange technology. Its hull now a deep black that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The U.S. Horizon had returned, and it was heading straight for Earth. The emergency meeting room at Space Defense Headquarters was packed. High-ranking officers from every military branch sat around the large table. Screens on the walls showed the strange ship from different angles. No one spoke as Admiral Richard Carter entered the room. "What do we know?" he asked, his voice tight with stress. General Laura Hayes stood up. "The object appeared at the edge of Neptune's orbit 12 hours ago. It's moving toward Earth at speeds we can't explain. Our best engines would take months to travel that distance. This thing will be here in 3 days. And we're sure it's the Horizon?" Admiral Carter asked. A scientist named Ben Russell stepped forward. He adjusted his glasses nervously. "The hull markings match. So does the ship's basic structure. But it's been changed. The Horizon was white. This ship is black, so black that our scanners have trouble seeing its edges, and there are additions to the hull we can't identify. Have they responded to communications? Asked the Admiral. They've ignored all standard channels, said a communications officer. We've tried every frequency, every code we have. Nothing. What about weapons? Someone asked from the back of the room. General Hayes shook her head. We can't tell. Our scans can't penetrate the hull, but the ship has bypassed 3 defensive perimeters without triggering any alarms. Our systems don't even register it passing. 1 minute it's outside the perimeter, the next it's inside. The room fell silent. The implications were clear. Their defenses meant nothing to this ship. We need to prepare for first contact, Admiral Carter finally said. Or conflict. We don't know which yet. In her apartment in Washington, D.C., Mary Wright watched the news with wide eyes. The government hadn't made an official announcement yet, but rumors spread online. A mysterious ship had entered the solar system. Some people claimed it was alien. Others said it was a secret government project. But Mary knew. Somehow she knew it was the Horizon. Her hand shook as she pulled out her phone and called Jeff Bell, husband of science officer Susan Bell from the Horizon. Are you seeing this? She asked when he answered. Yes, Jeff's voice was shaky. The family's group chat is going crazy. Everyone's saying the same thing. It's them, Mary said. It's the Horizon. How can it be? After 5 years. I don't know, but I'm going to find out. On the space station orbiting Earth, Navy Commander Olivia Peters stood at the window, watching the distant stars. 5 years ago, she lost her wife Samantha on the Horizon. Sam had been the ship's doctor. They had planned to start a family when Sam returned. Olivia's phone buzzed with a message from Admiral Carter. Her presence was requested immediately for a special assignment. She had a feeling she knew what it was about. An hour later, her suspicions were confirmed. She stood in the Admiral's office as he explained the mission. We need someone to lead a boarding party, he said. Someone who can think clearly no matter what we find on that ship. Someone who has a personal connection, but can still maintain objectivity. You want me because my wife was on the Horizon, Olivia said flatly. The Admiral nodded. Partly. But also because you're the best tactical officer we have. If this goes wrong, I need someone who can make the hard calls. Olivia looked at the image of the altered Horizon on the Admiral's screen. What do you think we'll find on board, sir? I don't know, Commander. Best case, survivors. Worst case, he didn't finish the sentence. 3 days later, Olivia led a team of 6 specially trained officers on a small shuttle toward the now orbiting Horizon. The black ship loomed larger in their view screen as they approached. It made no move to stop them or welcome them. Steady approach, Olivia instructed the pilot. No sudden movements. As they came within 1 kilometer of the ship, all their instruments suddenly went dead. The shuttle drifted without power. What happened? Olivia demanded. Everything just shut down, Mom, the pilot said, trying to restart the systems. A voice crackled through their communication system. It sounded human but strange, like many voices speaking together. We have returned to save you from what comes next. The shuttle's hatch opened by itself. Through the opening, they could see an airlock on the Horizon sliding open as well, inviting them in. Olivia led her team through the airlock of the U.S. Horizon. Their weapons were drawn, but she doubted they would help if things went bad. The air inside smelled clean but strange, like ozone after a lightning storm. Stay close, she ordered. Eyes open. The corridors were dark, lit only by strips of blue light along the floor. They looked like the Horizon's hallways from the old ship plans, but changed. The walls seemed to pulse slightly, as if the ship itself was breathing. Movement ahead, whispered Ed Collins, her security officer. A figure stepped out of the shadows. It was a man in what used to be a Horizon uniform, now altered with strange metal parts. His skin was pale, almost translucent, with faint blue lines running beneath it like glowing veins. But Olivia recognized his face immediately. "Captain Wright," she said, lowering her weapon slightly. He smiled, but the expression didn't reach his eyes. "Commander Peters, we've been expecting you." More crew members appeared behind him. All had the same pale skin and glowing blue veins. All wore altered uniforms. Olivia searched their faces, looking for one in particular. "If you're looking for Samantha, she's in the medical bay," Captain Wright said, as if reading her thoughts. "She'll be happy to see you." "How?" Olivia couldn't stop the question. "How are you alive? Where have you been for 5 years?" "For us, it's been much longer," Wright said. "Over 200 years by our counting. Time moves differently where we were taken." He gestured for them to follow him. As they walked deeper into the ship, Olivia noticed more changes. The walls contained technology she'd never seen before. Strange symbols floated in the air, disappearing when she tried to focus on them. They entered what used to be the bridge. It was now a vast room with a domed ceiling showing stars in patterns Olivia didn't recognize. "Where exactly did you go?" she asked. "Through a fold in space-time," Wright explained. "We were pulled into another dimension by beings far more advanced than us. They showed us things about the universe that humans weren't meant to know yet." He paused. "But now you need to know, because they're coming." "Who's coming?" Ed asked. "The Voreks," said a woman's voice from behind them. Olivia turned, and her heart stopped. Standing there was Samantha, her wife. She looked the same but different, like all the others. Pale skin, blue veins, eyes that seemed to see too much. "Sam," Olivia whispered. Samantha smiled sadly. "Hello, Liv." Olivia wanted to run to her, to hold her, but something held her back. This wasn't quite the woman she had married. "The Voreks are a species that harvests life," Captain Wright continued. "They travel from planet to planet, taking all biological material. They've noticed Earth. They're coming. Soon." "How soon?" Olivia forced herself to focus. 6 months, Wright said. "Maybe less. And you've come back to warn us." Wright exchanged looks with the other crew members. "More than warn. We've come to help you prepare. The beings who helped us gave us technology, knowledge, ways to fight." "At what cost?" Olivia asked, noticing how the crew seemed to move in perfect unison, almost like parts of a single organism. "Everything has a cost, Liv," Samantha said softly. She lifted her hand, and Olivia saw that the skin was peeling away in places, revealing metal and circuitry underneath. "The changes they made to us allow us to operate their technology, to understand their science. But our bodies are rejecting it. We're dying. We came back, knowing we won't survive," Wright added. "But Earth must. Humanity must." Olivia looked from Samantha to Wright, and back again. Part of her wanted to believe them completely, but another part noticed things that didn't add up. The way they all blinked at the same time. The way they seemed to know what she would ask before she asked it. "I need to report this to Earth Command," she finally said. "Of course," Wright agreed too quickly. "But first, let us show you what we've brought. What Earth will need to survive." Admiral Carter listened carefully as Olivia reported what she had seen on the horizon. The meeting room was silent. No one moved as she described the changed crew and their warning about the Voreks. "They want to share technology with us," Olivia finished, "to help us prepare." "And you believe them?" the Admiral asked. Olivia hesitated. "I'm not sure, sir. They're definitely the Horizon crew. I recognized many of them personally, but they're different. They act as one unit sometimes, and they know things they shouldn't know." "Like what?" "They knew exactly who would be on my team before we boarded. They knew private conversations I had with my wife before she left on the Horizon." Olivia took a deep breath. "And there's something else. When I asked to see their advanced technology, they showed me designs for weapons, shields, and a new kind of energy source, but they were oddly selective about what they shared." The Admiral frowned. "Selective how?" "They only showed me parts of each system, never how they all connect together. It was like they were hiding the full picture. Olivia paused. "Sir, I think we should be careful." "Noted, Commander." The Admiral turned to the others in the room. Opinions. General Hayes spoke first. "If there really is an alien threat coming, we need all the help we can get. But I agree with Commander Peters. We proceed with caution." "What about the crew's condition?" asked Dr. Lisa Young, the chief medical officer. "You said they're dying." "Yes," Olivia nodded. "According to Samantha, Dr. Peters, the changes to their bodies are killing them. Their human cells are rejecting the alien technology. They have months at most. They came back knowing they would die here." Dr. Young looked troubled. "That's quite a sacrifice. Or quite a story," General Hayes added. The Admiral stood up. "We need to learn more. Commander Peters, I want you to continue as our main contact with the Horizon crew. Get close to them, especially your wife. See what more you can learn. The rest of us will analyze the technology they've shared so far." As the meeting ended, Olivia felt a hand on her shoulder. It was Mary Wright, Captain Wright's wife. She had been brought in as a consultant due to her years of research into the Horizon's disappearance. "How is he?" Mary asked, her eyes full of hope and fear. "My husband." Olivia chose her words carefully. "He's alive. He remembers you. But he's changed, Mary. They all are. I need to see him." "That might not be possible right now." 5 years, Mary interrupted. "I've waited 5 years. I'm going to see my husband." Olivia understood. She had felt the same way seeing Samantha again. "I'll see what I can do." Back on the Horizon, the crew gathered in a circle in the large dome room. They stood silently, their eyes closed, blue veins glowing brighter now. In the center of the circle floated a sphere of swirling energy. "They suspect," said Captain Wright, his voice blending with the others in an eerie chorus. "The commander sees too much." "She can be managed," said Samantha. "I still have influence with her." "And what of the wife?" asked another crew member. "She demands to see the captain." "Let her come," Wright said. "Her presence may help maintain our cover." "The plan progresses," said another voice. "Earth begins to build according to our designs. They do not see the true purpose." "The gateway must be completed before the changes kill these bodies," Wright said. "Then our brothers and sisters can come through. And the true evolution of humanity can begin," they all said together. In her quarters on the space station, Olivia couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Samantha's face, almost but not quite the same, about the crew's perfect coordination, about the missing pieces in the technology designs. She pulled out her tablet and started reviewing the schematics the Horizon crew had provided. She wasn't an engineer, but something about the design bothered her. She began to draw connections between the separate pieces, trying to see the whole picture. Her eyes widened as a new pattern emerged. This wasn't a defense system. It was something else entirely. Olivia shared her discovery with Admiral Carter in his private office. She spread the drawings on his desk. "Look at this, sir. When you connect all their separate designs, it doesn't form a defense system. It forms a massive energy ring. I think it's some kind of portal." The Admiral studied the drawings. "A portal for what?" "I don't know," Olivia admitted. "But I don't think it's to fight the Orcs. I think they're lying about that." The Admiral looked troubled. "We've already started building parts of this system at 12 locations around Earth. The President is fully on board after speaking with Captain Wright. We need to stop construction," Olivia urged. "Based on your drawings." "That's not enough, Commander. We need more proof." Olivia nodded. "I'm going back to the Horizon tomorrow. Mary Wright is coming with me to see her husband. I'll find something more concrete." On the other side of the space station, Engineer Gary Davis worked late into the night. The Horizon crew had shared technology beyond his wildest dreams. As head engineer, he was in charge of understanding it and helping build Earth's new defense system. He rubbed his tired eyes and studied the strange metal component on his desk. It was from the Horizon's new hull. It seemed to absorb all light that touched it, making it hard to even see its edges. "Still working?" a voice asked from the doorway. Gary looked up to see Paul Grant, one of the Horizon crew. He had been working closely with several crew members for weeks now. "Just trying to understand how this material works," Gary said. "It breaks all the rules of physics as we know them." Paul smiled. "The beings who helped us have a different understanding of physics. They exist in multiple dimensions at once." Gary placed the material in a scanner. "I've noticed something strange. All the technology you've shared creates unusual energy fields. Together, they would generate an enormous field." "That's the point," Paul said. "The field will protect Earth from the Vorx weapons." "But the pattern suggests something else," Gary persisted. "It looks more like the field would thin the barriers between dimensions. Like opening a door." Paul's smile faded. His eyes suddenly glowed with an intense blue light. "You see too much, Engineer Davis." Gary backed away. "What's happening to your eyes?" Paul moved toward him with unnatural speed. "We had hoped to keep this peaceful, to let humans believe they were saving themselves. But some of you are too clever for your own good." Gary grabbed a tool from his desk. "Stay back." Paul's hand shot out, faster than any human could move. His fingers wrapped around Gary's throat. "You will continue your work, Engineer Davis, but you will forget this conversation. You will forget your concerns." Paul's glowing blue eyes seemed to expand until they filled Gary's vision. Gary felt something cold entering his mind, rearranging his thoughts. Then darkness. The next morning, Olivia and Mary Wright boarded a shuttle to the Horizon. Mary clutched a small bag containing photos and items from their home. "Are you ready?" Olivia asked gently. Mary nodded. "I've been ready for 5 years." When they arrived at the Horizon, Captain Wright was waiting at the airlock. Mary gasped when she saw him, his pale skin and glowing veins. "Alan," she whispered. Something flickered in the captain's face. For a moment, he looked confused, almost like his old self. "Mary." His voice was his own, not the strange chorus Olivia had heard before. Mary rushed forward and embraced him. Captain Wright stood stiffly at first, then slowly put his arms around her. Olivia watched carefully. This was the most human reaction she had seen from any of the crew. Perhaps personal connections could break through whatever controlled them. "I'll give you two some time alone," she said, backing away. "I need to speak with Samantha anyway." As she walked through the ship's corridors, Olivia noticed more crew members than before. They stood in small groups, watching her with their glowing eyes. She tried to appear casual as she took a wrong turn, heading toward the ship's engine room instead of the medical bay where Samantha would be. She needed to see what was really powering this ship. Maybe then she would understand what they planned to do with their portal on Earth. Behind her, she heard footsteps following. They knew. Olivia hurried through the corridor, pretending she knew where she was going. The footsteps behind her grew closer. She turned a corner and found herself facing a dead end. Before she could turn back, Samantha appeared, blocking her path. "You're going the wrong way. Liv," Samantha said. Her voice was gentle, but her eyes glowed bright blue. "The medical bay is in the other direction." "I got lost," Olivia lied. "This ship is different now." Samantha stepped closer. "No, you're looking for something. Answers, perhaps." Olivia stared at the woman who looked like her wife, but wasn't quite her. "What happened to you, Sam? What really happened to all of you out there?" Samantha's expression softened. For a moment, the blue glow in her eyes dimmed. "We found something, Liv, or rather, it found us. A consciousness that exists beyond our understanding of space and time. An alien. So much more than that. A collective intelligence that spans multiple dimensions. They showed us the truth about the universe, about humanity's potential. And the Vorx, the alien threat you warned us about." Samantha's smile faded. "There is no Vorx. That was necessary to gain your cooperation." Olivia's hand moved slowly toward her hidden weapon. "So you lied. Why? What's the real purpose of the technology you're helping us build? Captain Wright appeared behind Samantha. Mary was not with him. I believe it's time we showed her, he said. She deserves to know. They led Olivia to a new room she hadn't seen before. Inside was a swirling mass of energy that hurt her eyes when she looked directly at it. It pulsed and moved as if alive. This is a fragment of the consciousness, Captain Wright explained. It can't fully exist in our dimension yet. That's why we need the portal system on Earth. You're building a door, Olivia realized, to let these things in. To let them complete our evolution, Samantha corrected. Humanity is meant for more than this limited existence. We're meant to join with them, to become like them. By force, without giving people a choice. Some would choose wrongly, Wright said simply. Fear would guide them, not vision. What happened to the real you? Olivia asked, looking at Samantha. Is my wife still in there somewhere? Something flickered in Samantha's face. I am still me, live, just, more. The consciousness enhances us, connects us. We share thoughts, memories. We're never alone. You're never yourselves either, Olivia replied. The energy in the center of the room pulsed violently. Samantha and Wright both flinched as if in pain. The blue lines beneath their skin glowed brighter. They're dying, came a voice from the doorway. Olivia turned to see Mary Wright standing there. Her face was tear-stained but determined. The consciousness is killing them, Mary continued. Their bodies can't handle it. That's why they're in such a hurry to build the portal. Mary, you shouldn't be here, Wright said, his voice strained. I found the ship's original logs, Alan, hidden in your old quarters. You fought against this thing. All of you did, but it was too strong. Wright's face contorted in what looked like pain. The blue glow in his eyes flickered. Mary, help us. For a brief moment, it was Alan Wright speaking, not the collective consciousness controlling him. We're going to help you, Mary said firmly. All of you. Olivia looked from Mary to Samantha, whose eyes also flickered between normal and glowing. The consciousness was losing its hold, if only temporarily. There's more, Mary said quickly. Some of the crew who resisted harder. They were imprisoned somewhere on the ship. And they found a weakness in the portal design. They built in a flaw that could collapse the whole system. We need to find them, Olivia said. The energy mass pulsed again, more violently. Wright and Samantha both cried out in pain, then straightened. Their eyes glowed steady blue once more. Enough of this, they said in unison, voices blending in that eerie chorus. The portal will be completed. Earth will be transformed. And you will not interfere. Guards appeared at the door, changed crew members with glowing eyes. Olivia grabbed Mary's arm and pulled her back, looking for any escape route. Run, Samantha said suddenly, her own voice breaking through. Live. Run. Find Joe Kelly in the cargo hold. He knows how to stop this. Olivia and Mary ran through the ship's corridors. Behind them, they heard the heavy footsteps of the controlled crew members in pursuit. This way, Olivia said, pulling Mary down a side passage. She remembered the ship plans she had studied before boarding. There's a maintenance tunnel that leads to the cargo hold. They found the small hatch and crawled inside. The tunnel was tight and dark, lit only by emergency lights. They moved as quickly and quietly as they could. Do you know Joe Kelly? Olivia asked as they crawled. He was the ship's engineer, Mary whispered back. If anyone could build a flaw into the portal design, it would be him. They reached the end of the tunnel. Olivia peered through the grate into the cargo hold. It was filled with strange equipment and containers. And guards. 2 changed crew members stood watch over a sealed door at the far end. They must be in there, Olivia whispered, pointing to the door. But how do we get past the guards? Mary reached into her pocket and pulled out a small device. I took this from Alan's quarters. It's some kind of control unit. He used it to open doors on the ship. Olivia took the device. It hummed slightly in her hand. the surface covered with symbols she didn't understand. Worth a try. She pointed it at a stack of containers across the cargo hold. After pressing what she hoped was the right symbol, the containers toppled over with a tremendous crash. The guards rushed to investigate. Now, Olivia kicked open the grate, and they sprinted to the sealed door. Mary pressed the device against the lock. The door slid open. Inside, they found 6 crew members. They were pale and thin, but their eyes were normal, not glowing blue. A man with a graying beard struggled to his feet. "Joe Kelly?" Olivia asked. He nodded. "Who are you?" "Commander Olivia Peters. This is Mary Wright. Samantha told us to find you. She said you know how to stop the portal." Joe's eyes widened. Sam broke through. "There's still hope then." "Not for long," said a woman beside him. "Once the portal is active, the consciousness will take over everyone on Earth. We built a backdoor into the design," Joe explained quickly. "A way to reverse the energy flow. Instead of opening a door for them to come through, it would push them back and seal the rift between dimensions. But it has to be triggered from both sides," added the woman. "Someone here on the ship, and someone on Earth where they're building the main portal structure." "I can contact Admiral Carter," Olivia said, "but we need to get off this ship first." A loud bang came from outside. The guards were trying to break in. "There's a shuttle bay 2 levels down," Joe said. "If we can reach it." The door burst open. Captain Wright stood there, his eyes blazing blue. Behind him were more crew members, including Samantha. "This ends now," Wright said in that eerie chorus voice. "The portal is nearly complete. Soon, our brothers and sisters will arrive." "Ellen," Mary stepped forward. "I know you're still in there. Fight it." Wright's face twitched. The blue glow flickered. "Mary. Can't. Hold it back. The consciousness is weakening as the host bodies fail," Joe whispered to Olivia. "That's our chance." Olivia looked at Samantha, searching for any sign of her wife. "Sam, help us. You did it once already." Samantha's eyes flickered. She stumbled forward, fighting against the force controlling her. "Live, the device. Frequency." Understanding flashed in Joe's eyes. Of course, the control device emits a frequency that disrupts their connection to the consciousness. Mary handed the device to Joe. He quickly adjusted something, then held it up. A high-pitched sound filled the air. The changed crew members screamed and fell to their knees, the blue glow in their eyes fading in and out. "Run. Now," Joe shouted. They pushed past the struggling crew members, helping those who were breaking free from control. As they raced toward the shuttle bay, Olivia grabbed her communicator. "Admiral Carter, this is Commander Peters. Emergency Protocol Alpha. The defense system is not what it seems. I'm sending data on how to reverse it. You need to implement these changes immediately." They reached the shuttle bay and boarded a small craft. As they prepared for launch, Olivia looked back at the ship. Samantha stood in the doorway, fighting to stay in control. "Come with us," Olivia pleaded. Samantha shook her head. "Too late for me, but not for Earth. I'll hold them back. Give you time." She smiled, a real smile this time. "I love you, Liv. Always." The shuttle doors closed as Samantha turned to face the approaching crew. The last thing Olivia saw was her wife standing tall, fully herself again, fighting for humanity's future.